A seat denied, a revolution ignited. It began with a single, jarring act of discrimination, a moment that would unravel decades of entrenched assumptions. On a routine flight, a seasoned crew member abruptly displaced a composed young student from her premium seat, oblivious to the extraordinary power she wielded. In a twist that defied every expectation, this resolute teenager revealed herself not as a mere passenger, but as a formidable force capable of rewriting the rules. At Real Life Stories now, we delve into how one fleeting decision turned humiliation into a fierce stand for justice, challenging deep-seated biases and dismantling a rigid, outdated system. The initial shock swiftly escalated into a gripping showdown, where raw emotion and unshakable resolve collided. As whispers spread through the cabin and tension thickened, the young passenger's quiet strength sparked a seismic shift. Her silent defiance not only exposed cracks in a flawed protocol, but also lit the fuse for a movement destined to transform an entire industry. What unfolded next will compel you to question authority and witness a revolution born from courage and conviction. The atmosphere in the first-class cabin tightened as Elena Harper settled into her seat, a serene island of determination amid a sea of unspoken judgments. Dressed in a neatly pressed school uniform, her dark hair pulled into a sleek ponytail, she exuded a quiet confidence that clashed with the typical image of an elite traveler. In her hand, she clutched not just a first-class ticket, but the weight of her late father's legacy, a trailblazing entrepreneur who had co-founded one of the nation's top airlines. Few could have guessed that beneath her calm exterior lay the authority of a major shareholder, a revelation poised to upend the conventions of air travel. At cruising altitude, Elena's focus on her chemistry homework was interrupted by an imposing figure radiating authority and subtle prejudice. Vanessa Reed, a veteran flight attendant with nearly 2 decades of service, prided herself on flawless professionalism and strict adherence to protocol. Yet, as her gaze fell on Elena, something stirred within her. Vanessa's ingrained beliefs about who belonged in first class, polished executives, not teenagers in school uniforms, clashed with the reality before her. Scrutinizing Elena's ticket with a mix of skepticism and scorn, she let her unspoken biases dictate her next move. In a tone both clipped and icy, Vanessa informed Elena that, despite her valid ticket, she didn't fit the unwritten code of first-class decorum. Without hesitation, she ordered the young passenger to relocate to economy. The directive sent a ripple of murmurs through the cabin. Passengers exchanged bewildered glances, but Elena remained poised, her steady gaze betraying neither anger nor doubt. Absorbing the injustice with a quiet grace that hinted at both sorrow and steel, she complied, not out of defeat, but with a dignity that spoke volumes. Relegated to the cramped confines of economy, the stark contrast between luxury and discomfort sharpened into focus. Yet even there, Elena's resolve didn't falter. Amid the hum of the engines and the shuffle of fellow passengers, she maintained an air of calm that masked the storm brewing within. Discreetly, she pulled out her phone and texted her confidant, James Carter, a seasoned family advisor who knew the airline's inner workings like the back of his hand. His reply was swift and unequivocal, confirming what no one aboard yet grasped. Elena wasn't just a passenger, she was the airline's largest shareholder, holding a 42% stake that made her humiliation both outrageous and ironically empowering. Meanwhile, the situation spiraled onboard. Captain Daniel Pierce, a no-nonsense leader known for his steadfast commitment to duty, received an urgent call from the operations team. The message was crystal clear. Elena Harper, briefly seated in first class, was a powerhouse whose influence dwarfed everyone else on the plane. The revelation hit like a thunderbolt. Within minutes, Captain Pierce relayed orders to Vanessa, demanding an immediate apology and the reinstatement of Elena's rightful seat. In that instant, the weight of Vanessa's misstep crashed down. Not only had she acted on baseless prejudice, but she'd also undermined the airline's core standards. The first-class cabin buzzed with a palpable shift. Crew members traded uneasy glances, their hushed exchanges reflecting a dawning awareness that this was no simple seating mix-up. Even the most experienced attendants, accustomed to smoothing over minor hiccups, recognized the deeper fault lines this incident exposed. Vanessa's decision reverberated through the plane, turning a routine flight into an unexpected reckoning on fairness and respect. Back in economy, Elena's presence became a quiet rebellion. Despite the tight quarters and diminished comforts, her composed demeanor drew the eyes of nearby passengers. With every steady breath and measured movement, she turned an act of degradation into a powerful stand against discrimination. Her strength wasn't loud or confrontational. It was a subtle force, a reminder that dignity couldn't be stripped away by arbitrary rules or outdated biases. What began as a personal slight was fast becoming a rallying cry for change. When the plane touched down, the incident's fallout erupted beyond the aircraft's walls. An emergency review was launched, and the airline's disciplinary board convened to dissect the events with ruthless precision. In a stark conference room bathed in the dim glow of urban lights, Vanessa faced a panel of senior executives and board members. The meeting was a blunt confrontation with reality. Her choice to demote a first-class passenger based solely on appearance had breached company policy and betrayed the principles of equality the airline claimed to uphold. The board's inquiry was unrelenting. Vanessa's years of exemplary service were overshadowed by the stark evidence of bias. No procedure could justify her unilateral action, and personal excuses held no weight when a single prejudiced move had eroded customer trust. The discussion became a teachable moment for the entire organization, hammering home the need for accountability at every level. Pointed questions forced Vanessa to grapple with her motives and the broader consequences of her actions, a sobering lesson in the urgent need for a cultural overhaul. Amid the scrutiny, Elena's ordeal transcended a personal grievance, igniting a wider dialogue about equity in service. With a resolve as steady as ever, she met with airline leadership to propose sweeping reforms. Drawing on her dual role as a wrong passenger and a key stakeholder, she outlined a bold vision: mandatory training for crew on cultural sensitivity and unconscious bias, real-time reporting channels for discriminatory acts, and a diverse oversight board with voices like hers. Each measure aimed to ensure no traveler would face judgment based on superficial traits again. The leadership acted decisively, acknowledging the incident as a wake-up call that exposed flaws in long-standing practices. Public statements admitted past failures and outlined a roadmap for a future where every passenger would be met with respect. These changes weren't just a knee-jerk response. They were a proactive pledge to reshape the airline's ethos, setting a precedent for the aviation industry at large. In the weeks that followed, the ripples kept spreading. Vanessa penned a remorseful email, a raw admission of her mistake that laid bare the personal toll of her bias. Though it couldn't undo the damage, it served as a stark reminder of the stakes at play in every mid-air decision. Elena's response was brief, yet firm, accepting the lesson learned while signaling that the path to real change had just begun. The flight's every detail has since been pored over by industry analysts, trainers, and advocates. Elena Harper's story stands as a testament to resilience and the power of confronting prejudice head-on. It's a tale that reveals both the fragility of entrenched systems and the hope of renewal when bravery meets accountability. The echoes of that day have stretched far beyond one plane, sparking reforms that continue to redefine air travel. This saga is a clarion call, not just for aviation, but for every field, to rethink values, embrace growth, and foster fairness. Through one young woman's courage and a team's hard-won lessons, a new era has dawned, promising a more just journey for all. Elena's unwavering stand and Vanessa's reckoning weave together into a pivotal moment, proving that a single act of valor can steer an entire industry toward justice. As the impact of that fateful flight inspires ongoing change, let it remind us of our shared duty to drive progress. If this story stirred you as it did us, please like and share, because every voice counts in building a world where respect reigns.